Welcome back, everybody. There has been so much news in the last 2 weeks. You might have missed this very important story. Just before the government shut down, the FDA just quietly slid in an approval for the abortion drug Mifepristone, which has been tied to some very serious safety concerns, not only for its obvious use of killing unborn babies, but in some cases it can hurt the mothers too. And Republicans in the Senate are looking to do something about it. A letter from 51 senators led by Senator Lindsey Graham are calling on the HHS and FDA to rethink their decision. And joining us now to discuss why is South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, as well as the president of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America, Marjorie Dannenfelser. Senator Graham and Marjorie, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Senator, I'll start with you on the legislative side of things, because I think a lot of people have this assumption that when a new president comes to town, he appoints new people at agencies like the FDA and HHS. They think that everything's just going to run like clockwork. They're going to follow President Trump's pro-life agenda. That obviously did not happen. How do you fix it?
Well, you bring attention to the problem. So what are we talking about here? There are different ways to get an abortion. One is a pill, a chemical abortion that can be administered in pill form. So the Trump administration approved a generic version of an abortion drug, and we're all surprised by that. You know, we're supposed to be the pro-life people, right? And President Trump's been very helpful to the pro-life cause, been very friendly. So we were all surprised that the FDA would approve that pill in a generic version. So what we're trying to do is have the FDA look at the science around the dangers of taking this pill presents to women. We think that has been not adequately looked at. Then we want to go back to the 2017 Trump policies regarding the administering an abortion pill. Under 2017 protocols by President Trump, his first term, you had to go to a doctor before you could get the drug prescribed for an abortion. Biden did away with that requirement, and we're expecting, hopefully soon, Trump to reintroduce the requirement. You can't get it through the mail. You have to go to a doctor and have an in-person visit with a doctor to understand the dangers of this drug. So that's what we're doing. And finally, Marjorie's been great. The abortion pill is effective up to about 12 weeks. If you can get the abortion drug through the mail without seeing a doctor, and if the abortion drug can be delivered to a state that has pro-life protections, in my state, there's no abortions allowed after 6 weeks. Well, if you can get the pill through the mail, then you've wiped out the entire pro-life infrastructure in South Carolina and every other state. So if you think abortion should be a state issue regulated by the states, you can't allow the federal government to send it through the mail because that undercuts and destroys every state law in the books protecting the unborn. So this is a big deal, a big issue, and we're going to fight to have sanity rule here.
Yeah, so very important. Marjorie, the senator mentioned something important. There are some real concerns about the health effects of this pill and also not having women in touch with a doctor while they're going through a chemical abortion. Tell us some of the things that the public may not know about the dangers.
It is true. It is true that this taking it away from the doctor-patient relationship and allowing it through the mail has been a disaster for women. It's clearly a disaster for unborn children. 63% of babies are aborted through the chemical abortion that the pill is, and it's a disaster for states' rights. But for women in particular, which we ought to have a complete alliance with Planned Parenthood and every abortion activist, that the woman at least should be protected. And what we know is that 11% of women experience adverse effects, serious adverse effects from taking this pill that the other side compares to Tylenol, which is absolutely wrong. So I think you asked a question that is really important. Why is this happening under HHS Secretary Kennedy and the FDA commissioner? I think that the first administration, this Trump administration, got it right the first time. Take those rules, put them back around the drug, get them out of the mail, restore the doctor-patient relationship, and save a lot of lives and a lot of misery, and save a lot of children's lives as well.
Wow.
Marjorie, I want to ask you about the messaging from Democrats, because they will say that this is about access. But we know that when a woman doesn't have to go to a doctor's appointment, there's a gravity of that situation that's taken away. We also know that when there is a 6-week ultrasound and they can hear the heartbeat, that oftentimes compels a mother to keep that baby. So has it ever been about access, or is it really just about messaging and making abortion so easy and I mean, almost thoughtless?
What a difference just a handful of years makes. It used to be safe, legal, and rare. No concern about safe. Absolutely undermining the rights of states to have their own laws. And rare is certainly not true, because the abortion rate is way up since Dobbs. If you take the doctor out of this relationship, out of the loop at all with a woman, you don't know if she has an ectopic pregnancy. You don't know anything about her history. You don't know what the gestational age of the child is. And the gestational age of the child, if you only care about one of the people in this calculation, really has an enormous impact on the life and health of the woman. So again, I say join with us, Planned Parenthood, and reestablish common sense, woman-centered rules. Also, respect some state sovereignty and stop acting lawless in the movement of these pills across state lines into pro-life states.
Yeah, so important. Senator, I want to turn to another topic that you have led on. Without you, we would not know half or more of the weaponization that went on in our government under the Obama-Biden years. But now you yourself find yourself a victim. You're one of those senators whose phone records were rifled through by the FBI. What do you know? What do you expect to need to know to make a good judgment about who should be punished?
Well, number one, the request about my phone records, who I was calling, the duration of the phone call, and the location of the phone call. That request was made by 2 FBI agents apparently working for Jack Smith in 2023. And the phone calls were in January the 4th through the 6th in 2021. So why 30 months later? I believe this. Within 3 days of Trump announcing he's going to run for president on November the 15th, 2022, that he's going to run again for 2024, within 3 days, Jack Smith was appointed special counsel. And within about 8 months, there were 91 indictments against Donald J. Trump in New York by Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, Fannie Willis, and Jack Smith, 91 charges. I believe none of that would happen if Trump had decided not to run. I believe it was an effort in 2022 to destroy his campaign, and that I got caught up in this with 8 other senators. I actually voted to certify the election. But whether you like me or not, it should bother the heck out of you that the sitting chairman of the Judiciary Committee, which I was in January the 4th through the 6th, 2021, would have their phone records surveilled by the executive branch. We have constitutional separations of powers. We in Congress certify the election. As the chairman of the committee, I determined whether or not we should investigate alleged wrongdoing. I was doing my job, and the fact that they would look at who I'm calling and the length of the phone call and where it took place is beyond chilling. What was the predicate for this? What vehicle did they use? We're going to get to the bottom of it. And the people who did this, I think, need to be fired. And we need to make sure the government pays in a way to deter it in the future. This is something new that we didn't know about, John, when we started this journey together.
No.
This has taken an ominous turn.
Yeah, that it has.
Senator, before we let you go, there has been this Stalin-like mentality when it comes to the Biden administration and going after their enemies. And as you alluded, there were numerous Democrats who made flippant remarks on TV about if President Trump wasn't running again, they wouldn't be going after him. With that as the basis of this question, are you worried of what they would have done with this data? I mean, would they have found the man and then found a crime to pin it on you? I know it was just geolocation, but they could have done a lot with that.
Yeah, look, I mean, There was exculpatory information in 2016 that the Steele dossier was a made-up event by the political opponent Donald Trump. There was intel to that fact, and it was all ignored. The subsource who provided the information to Steele, the Russian guy, in February 2017 said it's all bar talk, it's hearsay, it's not reliable, and they kept using the warrant anyway because they hated Trump so much. Yeah, it bothers me that they would look at me and my colleagues in the United States Senate in this fashion. It should bother everybody. You don't want this to happen in the future. Just think, I was the chairman of the committee charged with having to certify the election and find out what happened. And in the course of doing my duty, 30 months later, they go to the phone company to get my records. Now, that is not acceptable. Yeah, if Trump hadn't won, I'm sure he would have probably be in jail somewhere now based on a bunch of BS. In 2016, they started a storyline he was a Russian agent. In 2022, they charged him with crimes of mishandling classified information. Hillary Clinton took a hammer, her people did, to the hard drive and bleach bit information. That apparently didn't make the cut. And Jack Smith released information about his brief accusing Trump of mishandling classified information and being involved in the January 6th activity 2 weeks before the election, which you're not supposed to do. So in 2022, they tried to make his activity about January 6th a crime. They tried to charge him with mishandling classified information, things that they never even began to charge a Democrat with. So it's a selective double standard, selective enforcement of the law, and they drudge up January the 6th in 2022, 2023 to beat him in 2024. And they got me and 7 other senators involved, and they're going to pay a price. I'm not going to let this go.
Yeah, I'm certain you won't.
It has been unbelievable to see, and we are so appreciative of folks like you who are working to get that parsed out. Absolutely. Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America President, Marjorie Dannenfelser, thanks so much, and South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Both of you, thank you for being here.